Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I'm here at the Hear the Watchman conference with Mark Sutherland. He actually came on my channel last year and I had some technical difficulties that I've never experienced ever before. So we prayed over the camera, hopefully it's good and protected. But he's here with me to explain what's going on in the EU, what's going on in London. You're from the London area, and how that compares to maybe some of the things that we see here in America, because what's happening over there eventually finds its way to the United States. So, but first I want to share his website link. It's Rosler Studios, R-O-S-L-E-R Studios.com, and you've got some great stuff on there. But let's start, Mark, with what's happening in your neck of the woods in the EU.
Well, as people will be aware, so Mrs May has bought the third vote, the third time to try and get this deal through that she's come up with to get us out of the EU in her terms. And the deal that she's come up with leaves us as a completely vassal state. In other words, we leave in name only. So she has had another defeat by, I think, 58 votes today. Right, and as we're in where we are ahead in time, as the UK time is 6-7 hours behind. So she has lost that, and what that means now is that we are, and this is what I want, going towards leaving the exit door with a no deal. However, there is a summit in the EU, as Mr Tusk has said, on April the 12th. There is not enough time between now and them to put all the sort of deal together to come up with another plan to keep us in, and basically to only leave in name only. So he has now called a special summit on April the 10th. The collusion and the deliberate, e.g., if we don't get the answer we want, we will delay, we will keep pushing for this, we'll ask you to re-vote. So today there is a big march in London objecting to that. There is a protest outside Parliament because 17,410,752 people, with a majority of over 1 million, in June voted to leave. That's it, period.
Amen, right?
And we then put in Article 50. So today we are supposed to leave. Officially, we were supposed to leave. Then, because they took the no deal off the table 2 weeks ago, they have then pushed back this leaving date. And even I get totally confused by the complexity of it and the political games that are going on. You know as well as I do that the fight is between globalism and nationalism.
100%.
And the EU is a socialist Marxist construct, just to remind and just bring an update, which was designed in 1923 by Jean Monnet and Arthur Salter. And it was to then take away the democracy of each individual country, treaty by treaty, but without telling them. And it's to create the federal states of Europe, which is supposedly trying to follow the United States of America. But in my own opinion, with a profoundly big difference. Your constitution, written 1787. According to the EU, they then have what's called the Lisbon Agreement, which is basically the European constitution. That was turned down by France and Holland in 2005, re-sifted so it becomes a treaty, but not as a constitution. So you can see how deceitful this is. We then repackage, we then bring it forward again. So the Lisbon Agreement is the constitution, but free speech is under attack. Free speech is guaranteed in your constitution. You have a Second Amendment. You have a right to, supposedly, and I hear you, Lisa, on that. But you then have a Second Amendment that says you have a right to bear arms against a tyrannical government.
Yes.
Militia,
bear arms, all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have tyranny. We are facing tyranny because within the UK, if we don't leave the EU, if we don't leave, which is what the majority voted for, our democracy is finished. Now, I believe, I'm going out on a limb here, I believe God is at work, because at the end of the day, the 650 odd MPs, and at least 210 of them have honour in the fact that they voted not to take the no deal off the table. When people voted, they did not vote to create a vacuum of working out how we're going to leave, in a sense. And to back up this, we are ready to leave. We are ready to go. There's been a war within the civil servants, within government. Everything is in place for us to leave. And even today, there's an article in a newspaper saying that the ex-leader of the Bank of England has said that we just need to leave. We have a no deal. Now, I can't believe this is coming from the Bank of England.
Yeah,
we're talking about a central bank.
Right.
We are talking about a central bank. But he has said that his plan would be, we leave with no deal, but we just stalled it for 6 months to negotiate how to just properly leave and all the rest. Now, in the past, recently, over the last couple of months, the person running the customs border within Calais and Bordeaux has said, exports are going to still continue. We're going to still be trading with you. Of course, because we can leave and trade under the World Trade Organization,
yes.
Article 24.
Like now, every other country.
Like every other country, which means that we can then come and knock on the door in the US and go, can we sort out our trade deal now? We could go to other countries. So for some reason, which we all know, we were taken in 1973, we lost our sovereignty. Even though the then Prime Minister, Ted Heath, said, no, we didn't. We were lied to. We were absolutely lied to. We then had a referendum in 1975. The access to information is not what it is now, when you only had 1 or 2 television channels. Basically, you had the BBC, the big propaganda arm of the government. Let's just say it, right? And to be fair, when we had our referendum, they stuck to the rules, where they gave both sides the same kind of airtime. Since that referendum, they have not. They have not. They have been so pro stay within the EU. That is what they've done. So there's misinformation. However, there was a clear democratic vote that was given by the government. We will go along with whatever decision you decide to make as a country. All the MPs, the sort of final thing to say in one sense about this, is that MPs voted and gave the right to the people to make that decision. In 2017, we then had an election that Mrs. May called. Within the Conservative Party, and she, in my own opinion, is not a Conservative. I believe she is a socialist in a blue coat. I've said that a number of times. I'll say it again. So the key thing is this, is that she called the election. In the Conservative manifesto, it said we will be leaving the EU. In the Labour manifesto, it was clear we will be leaving the EU. We respect the people's vote. It wasn't in Liberal Party, for argument's sake. So they are gone back on this, big time. And my prayer, and I would ask people to pray about this, please, because, you know, we pray for you, and we need your prayers, very much so at this moment, because we need to leave without a deal. And we know it is the biggest spiritual battle that we are engaged in on both sides.
Globalism.
Absolutely, and we are engaged. Absolutely, and we're engaged in the biggest spiritual battle of our lifetime.
Yeah.
And that is what is going on, and I don't apologize. I don't apologize for it, because Ephesians 6 is manifesting in the political realm.
100%, and not just there, but also here at home. I mean, we're seeing similar things here in the United States, and I know this is kind of an underground thing, but we have the United Nations rising up, and they're another powerhead, just like the EU. And the problem is they've literally made nationalism a target, like here in the United States, and I believe they're also because they are really bashing anyone who doesn't want to be part of the EU. They're acting like it's not what everybody agrees to, but the truth is it really is. You voted on it, you agreed it, and it needs to happen, it needs to go through the way that it was planned, breaking off a no deal. And here in America, it is, I mean, it's ever so clear over there in London and the EU and the UK area, where you have that nationalist globalism spiritual battle. And here at home, we have the same thing. We have the United Nations here, even talks of a North America treaty between us, Mexico, and Canada. That's
and bringing in
here.
the Amero.
Yes,
that's point for those three countries.
And a lot of people, they're rumors, but they're serious rumors that have been discussed, nothing official yet, but these are things that we're talking about here at home and we're hearing about. But, I just see all these prophecies rising up, the nations in the latter days, the New World Order. And so we're seeing that here at home. And it just breaks my heart because I see it from news channels to movies, how they're attacking just the fact that you want and love your country, and it shouldn't be so.
I mean, absolutely, and there's constant propaganda, right? And I think the other thing to say is, like, you've just had the Mueller report, which is a complete and utter exoneration for the President of the United States.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Like, was he guilty of anything? And
no.
he's exonerated.
No. So there's no, just for the record, there's no Russian interference at all. The only Russian interference was by Hillary Rodham Clinton selling uranium to a Canadian company that is also owned by Russia as well. So 25% of your uranium, making $145 million, and her husband Bill, that well-behaved person, then getting £500,000 for speaking for 15-20 minutes in Russia. They are the facts. That is what's been going on. And the segue in to the Mueller report, which is astounding again, and Dan Bongino wrote a fantastic book called Spygate. I talk about it all the time. And he gave a speech last November, and he then talked about the fact that I think the Christopher Steele file, the fake document, which is complete and utter lies, which is created in London because that's where the guy is based. And then he gives this, paid for by Fusion GPS, paid by Hillary Clinton. So
her organization.
The handover of that file was then done by the head of GCHQ at the time, which is our big spy listening post, to Brennan, head of the CIA. So they meet on directorial level to go, here you go, oh, thanks pal, take that, and off you go. This fake dossier. The fact that I believe that the head then of GCHQ then resigns soon after Mr. Trump wins the election.
Wow, and that's like a coincidence.
That's like a non-coincidence, as we'd say. So he then resigns, and then everything then takes off. And the point I want to make is to everyone is to say, and your audience are awake, but it's to remind us of the connections all the time that are going on, and it's even astounding us the amount of censorship that's going on. So with Rosler Studios, we are trying to get a faith-based feature film off the ground in Tennessee. The attack from us against us in regard to all social media platforms, Facebook, etc., has been astounding. To try and actually raise profile about this. We are now seeing the next stage where other people are being censored because of their particular political views. And because that is a faith-based Christian film, it'd be the first sort of 3D film made in that way, they are coming against us because of people's political involvement in the past. So, that is where we are at. It's coming at us in so many different ways.
So true. And that's the thing. We're experiencing this similar pressure across border lines. So that tells me that there is absolutely a spiritual battle, absolutely something bigger than us. When I'm experiencing similar censorship and you're experiencing, and the one you're experiencing is here in America as well as abroad, because it's an internet. And so it's just good, I guess, good to know that we're fighting the good fight, because you're the one that's being censored, you're in the right direction. So with that, can you share information on the film that you're creating and any websites if people want to donate to that, how they can do that?
That's very kind. Well, as I say, if people go to www.roslerstudios.com there and go through that. Also, if you'll put my email at the bottom of YouTube, if people then maybe even easier to contact me, and then we can feed that in, and we'd be extremely grateful. You know, we already have the cinema distribution sorted, which is a rarity in that sense. It's all very well making content, but if you can't get it out there, and it is a way of there is also an investment opportunity here. There is a way of making money out of this, which is great, but there's a way of then providing a battle fund for us to get our messages out there.
Yeah. And it's needed.
Yes.
Because we're censored into oblivion. So really all we have is you guys out there listening and helping out with that. So I'm going to leave his email address and the website information below so you can check out that feature. I can't wait to see it myself.
Thank you. It's very kind.
Is there like an end date in mind for that?
Yes, as in let's get some money in so we can make this as soon as possible. And to be honest,
Awesome.
the end date would be well before the end of this year, well before the end of that.
Nice.
And no, it'd be great to see you at the premiere, Lisa. Thank you.
I will. Keep me posted when it is.
I will do. I will do.
All right. Well, I love all you guys. Thanks for listening. And again, all the information that he described can be found in the description box below here on YouTube. Well, I'm Lisa Haven, and that was
Mark Sutherland.
signing out.